Hello, hello, hello. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everyone. This is Jeff with Fluent American checking in once more. And welcome to the Schwa Mill, where our goal is to help you craft your accent every single Saturday at this time. What we do is we take a look at pronunciation files that you send to us, and then we give them feedback, suggestions to help you more natural pronunciation accent in American English. Of course, as we're doing this as well, if you have some specific questions about anything, you can feel free to post them in the chat and we'll be happy to take a look at them and things like that as well. All right. I'm really excited that great pronunciation files already. I'm excited to listen to some new people as well, which great. Hello. I want to say hello really quick. Hello to Fernando checking in. Great to see you, sir. Hello to Emmanuel again. Nick sent us a pronunciation file, which I'm super excited to take a look at. Also saying hi to Shok and also to Edward. And if you would like me to say hey to you as well, then all you need to do is to put a message in. Let me know, how many times have you been to the Schwa Mill? Is this your first time? We love when people come for the first time. Other things too, if you want to help us out, you can always like and keep me posted. Anytime you have a question, even if it's a silly question, a question we've answered before, everything is fine. All you need to do is post that in the chat box. The more chats we get in, the more it helps the stream. All right, let me kind of just walk you through the process to send in your own pronunciation files in case this is your first time or anything like that. Emmanuel notes that the video is pixelated. Wonder why that is. On my end, everything's smooth. I'm gonna hope that as the stream progresses, it might just be like a spike in the connection. So hopefully that evens out for the moment. But the more important thing is always going to be the audio anyways, but it would be nice to have a clearer picture. But let me kind of just walk you through the process for sending in your own pronunciation files. Emmanuel, I'm checking the stream and it looks a little bit better now. Still not perfect, but better. Let me know if it's coming in a little clearer for you guys. But let's kind of just walk you through the process. Give me one moment. Okay. Oh, help if I. Yeah, sometimes it just needs a second to load, I think. Okay, there I am. Looking at myself. I'll close that for a moment. This is the document where you can send in your own pronunciation files. Okay. And I'm seeing that Fernando is sending a note. It's his first time. Oh my gosh. Fernando, how did you find the channel? Lots of things happening with Fernando recently, which is great. Really excited to work with him. He's on a smartphone trying to connect to his computer instead, so I jump between files and apps. Totally understand. Do what you need to do. We'll be here for the next hour and a half-ish, if not longer. But this is basically our document where we catch everything and where you can send in your own pronunciation files. If you go up top, you're going to see some directions where you can go to vocaroo.com and it's going to look something like this. The first time you go to this website, what you're probably going to see is you're going to see like a big fat record button. So then you can press that, record your audio. Once you do that, you have to save it, I think. It's going to give you this link down here. If you copy that link and paste it, we'll be able to hear you. And we'll be able to give you some suggestions and things. If you want us to know your name, that's even better. Of course, some people are afraid of the internet for good reason. So if you'd rather stay anonymous and things, that's fine too. But regardless, put the link down. I also encourage you to write down the text of any file that you send. So that way, sometimes there's audio issues. Also, we're dealing with pronunciation. Maybe you're testing out a sound that you're not comfortable with. I want to make sure that I understand what you're saying so I can give you the most accurate feedback. So I really would encourage you to just include the text. It's helpful for me. It also helps me kind of share it on screen when we take a look at the files. If you also want to help me out, let me know where you're based or what your first language is. And Emmanuel notes that hopefully the audios are fair. Yeah, it's really weird. This time I listened to the files, I prepped some files, and they sounded okay to me today. So I don't think we'll run into that issue. Hopefully, you never know. It's always a possibility, but I think today's it will be okay. I'm also making a shortened version, kind of like a highlight that I'll also be using for the podcast. So I'm turning up those audio files. So in case you watched last week, but you're like, I can't really hear the audios from last week too well. This at least will make it a little bit better. That's the goal, anyways. And trying to think of some other things. Oh, last quick housekeeping things. Happy Novenglish. We are on day 12. Today is day 12 of Novenglish. If you don't know what Novenglish is, every day for the month of November, we are putting out a new pronunciation video. So if you go to the channel, you can kind of keep up to date with everything we're doing. Um, quick. Fingers are crossed. So, if you're interested in joining us, take a look here at the 30-day accent challenge. That's where all the videos are. So every day we're doing a video. It's usually between 2 to 3 minutes. Maybe I'll mention Happy Novenglish. It's our favorite month of the year, right? Novenglish, Happy Novenglish. Yep. So keep up to date. Let me know if you're doing the Novenglish challenge. Let me know. I would love to know how you guys are doing. Cool. And Fernando notes that he found our placement videos on YouTube. That's great. Yeah, if you guys remember how you found the channel, I would love to know that. Super helpful information. And he speaks Brazilian Portuguese. Super, super great. Cool, cool, cool. Lots of welcomes to you. I'm trying to think any other quick things that we want to highlight. Things people have questions about. No? Well, if you think of something, be sure to let me know. Otherwise, we're going to just kind of jump right into everything because you guys are here to get some feedback. So let's get started.
Oh, let me add myself there, right? Again, it's not little, it's more little.
The G host was class.
Are you feeling that here, or here?
Okay, guys, so you're going to see I have my headphones on, so I'm going to be able to hear your files. I'm going to be sharing my audio, so that way you'll also be able to hear them too. And again, if you have not sent us our files yet, there's still plenty of time to do so. All right, let me share my screen and everything with you guys. Bam, bam, bam. Okay. So I have our first batch of files loaded up. We're going to take a look. Oh, before we actually do that, a quick question here. From Edward. Edward asking a great question. Is the L always a dark L in American English? If you're not sure what a dark L is, a dark L is basically like an sound versus like a L sound. You know, if you studied American English or just even if you haven't, but you're learning English, obviously if you're here, most likely the way you're pronouncing an L sound is with the tip of your tongue high against the top of your mouth, like a L. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that L. It's a very clear sound. But what you're often going to find is that in American English, when an L appears in the middle of a word or towards the end of a word, so for instance, examples, these words here, you're much more likely to get more of a dark L sound. So for instance, that first word, instead of pronouncing it like wallet with that tip of your tongue, again, making contact high, most likely the tip of your tongue is going to be down, back of your tongue will be slightly raised, and you'll say it more like wallet, wallet. So again, compare the difference. Wallet, wallet. The second one's a little more common. The second word that you see there, again, L sound at the end of a word. So instead of saying trouble with that tip of your tongue high, most likely you're going to hear that with trouble with that front of your tongue down and the back of your tongue high. Okay, so again, trouble versus trouble. Trouble is the more common one. Basically, what we're doing is we're almost making that L into a vowel sound. That's one way to kind of think about it. Edward mentions about in British English, dark in the final position. That's certainly true. Again, we have a video that talks about there's an accent called estuary English, which has lots of actual similarities between American English and British English. This is a British accent, so that's definitely something to check out if you're interested in comparing British English and American English. Hello also to Doa. She's back. Yay. Welcome back, miss. Great to have you. And hello also to Ida. Is it Ida? Ada? Am I saying both of those wrong? Is it Ida? Where's our stress there? But great. So glad you could join us today. Thank you so much. She was commenting on the video and invited her to join, so it's great to see her. Hope she's able to hang out for a little bit. And if you want to send pronunciation files too, again, what you can do is find earlier in the chat or in the video description, you can see this link so you can send in your pronunciation files. Okay, I'm sharing my screen. I'm sharing my audio. Let's take a listen to what you guys have. Let me make myself a little bigger. Just going to pick a file at random. Got a 6-second file here. Let's see what's going on. And let me know if you guys can hear this okay.
I just wanted to say that we'll be happy to see you. But you know what? That should have been a big surprise.
Can we play it one more time?
I just wanted to say that we'll be happy to see you. But you know what? That should have been a big surprise.
Let me know if you guys can hear that okay. I think it came in cleared in last week. Hello also to Dusha, also another invite. Okay, great for joining us. So again, if you want to send us a pronunciation file, what you could do is look at our video description and you'll be able to see a link where you can send in your own pronunciation files. You can also see a little earlier in the chat as well here. Okay. Oh no, which file was that? It was a 6-second file. I did it again. I always do this.
I just wanted to say that.
Okay. Unfortunately, I can't. That's the loudest I can get this. I'm sorry. Hopefully you guys can hear it. I know it is a little low. Okay. Yes, it is better than last week. We might just have to manage. I'm sorry.
I just wanted to say that we'll be happy to see you.
Okay, let's just kind of begin with there and get some suggestions for that first half.
I just wanted to say that we'll be happy to see you.
I just wanted to say I'll be happy to see you. First things first is I want to hear the word say again.
I just wanted to say that.
Say, I just wanted to say, I just wanted to say. You know, it does feel to me like you're doing a lot of kind of projections from your lungs. See if you guys can hear the difference here. I just wanted to say, I just wanted to say, I just wanted to say, I just wanted to say. You know, so that first time what I'm doing is I'm really just using my lungs to carry a lot of the breath and the sound and the stress. Whereas that second time I'm engaging my diaphragm. And this is something you can kind of do to test yourself as well. Let me kind of just adjust my position a little bit, or actually, it'll probably be easier to see on the side cam. Give me one moment. Okay. So what you can do is if you take your fists and if you put them on your ribs, okay? So I want you to take a nice big breath in. And what you'll see there is everything kind of expanded, right? And then what you want to do when you're talking is, in general, when you're talking, you want everything to be slowly contracting. So we're going to say the sentence, I just want to say. The first time, I'm just going to use my lungs. So you're going to see that there's not really a whole lot of movement. And then the second time, I'm going to use my diaphragm, and you're going to see everything start contracting. So again, I'm going to breathe in. I just wanted to say, I just wanted to say, I just wanted to say. Notice my fists aren't really moving a whole lot. So now I'm going to do that from a lower position. I'm going to breathe in. I just wanted to say, again, I just wanted to say. So you can see there, especially towards the end, it started kind of closing in a little bit. You don't need like dramatic movement. It doesn't have to like shut completely and do a lot, but you want at least a little bit of movement there. So that's just one way you can kind of test to see, are you projecting from your lungs? If you're doing that, you're not really going to see any movement, any contraction. And if you're getting your diaphragm more, you're going to feel a lot more movement in your stomach area, but also in your ribs as your lungs contract. So just a note there. Other things for that first part.
I just wanted to say that we'll be happy to see you.
That we'll be happy to see you. I just wanted to say that we'll be happy to see you. So, besides that, what we mentioned about placement and breath, I think this sounds fine. Does this sound like something you would actually use in a conversation? My answer would be no. And I think the reason is that the rhythm and the intonation patterns are a little bit unusual. You probably wouldn't hear this in spoken English as much.
I just wanted to say that.
Like I just wanted to say, like I think that part can work. I just wanted to say, um, although you're putting a stress on say, I would experiment. Maybe put the stress on I. Like I just wanted to say, like I just wanted to say.
I just wanted to say that we'll be happy to see you.
That we'll be happy to see you. That we'll be happy to see you. I just want to say I'll be happy to see you. I just want to say I'll be happy to see you. I probably would have put stress on C.
I just wanted to say that we'll be happy to see you.
I would be happy to see you. You are putting stress on C too, but the rhythm's
Just
different.
wanted to say that we'll be happy to see you.
We'll be happy to see you. I just want to say we'll be happy to see you. I just want to say that we'll be happy to see you. I just want to say that we'll be happy to see you. We'll be happy to see you. I just want to say that we'll be happy to see you. That to me, reading it like that would have been a more natural pattern. It said that we'll be happy to see you because that's a little bit too flat, I think. Emmanuel asks a good question. Can you stress happy in this sentence? I just want to say we'll be happy to see you. That to me feels a little bit unusual. Um, think of it also from the perspective in terms of like your content words. Is it's not really your last content word. Happy about what? That's kind of the key information. Like happy about what? Happy about seeing you. Well, happy to see you. That's why I say we'll be happy to see you. That's why I just want to say we'll be happy to see you. Again, it's not impossible. You could stress happy. That's why I say I'll be happy to see you. That to me though, it feels more like you're clarifying. Like you said it, and then someone's like, "Wait, what? What did you say?" That's why I say we'll be happy to see you. Not sad, not angry, happy. So that's kind of the impact I think stressing happy would have on that first part. Aside from that, let's take a listen to the second half of the sentence.
I just wanted to say that we'll be happy to see you. But you know what?
But you know what? But you know what? But you know what? I think the schwa sound a little bit on what? I feel like it sounds a little muffled, like what versus what?
But you know what?
But you know what? But you know what? But you know what?
Happy to see you. But you know what?
But you know what? But you know what? But you know what? And just a quick note too about but you. You can say but you with like a schwa sound, but you. You don't want to say but you. Okay, so you don't want to add that breath onto that T sound. Okay, so you do want to remove that breath, use a held sound. Or another way you could link it to is with a ch sound. It's like but you know what? But you know what? But you know what? But you know what? Either of those are going to be pretty common ways of linking that together.
But you know what?
Watch out again for that schwa sound on what? But you know what? I think that that's also an opportunity too to play with your pitches because right now the pitch range that you're giving me is fine, but it's also relatively flat. You're giving me maybe like 3 or 4 pitches. This was an opportunity to use some of those higher pitches. But you know what? But you know what? That's a great phrase. I would put it into Youglish.com and kind of just see how other native speakers are saying that. Because I think probably not for all the situations, but for some of them, I think you're going to hear a higher pitch on what. But you know what? But you know what?
You know what? That should have been a big surprise.
But you know what? I just want to say I'll be happy to see you. But you know what? That should have been a big surprise. I'm a little bit like the semantics, like the meaning of this sentence. It would have been really helpful to get more context for this sentence. Like why? What is the that? Does that mean the "we'll be happy to see you" part? The fact that I'm saying this? Like, I'm a little bit without the context, it's a little bit uncertain, and unfortunately, context has a big impact on interpreting the sentence and determining what gets stressed, what gets reduced, and things like that. So, I would have liked something more information here would have been
You know
helpful.
what? That should have been a big surprise.
That should have been a big that should have been a big surprise.
That should have been a big surprise.
That should have been a big surprise. Uh, because there's a lot of options here in terms of stressing. And so the context would have been really helpful. So, for instance, should have might have gotten distressed, but that should have been a big surprise. Another thing is you could have got heavier stress on big. Like that should have been a big surprise. Or also the way that you're doing it. That should have been a big surprise. That should have been a big surprise. That should have been a big surprise. Notice that you're putting some stress on big, but also surprise.
That should have been a big surprise.
That should have been a big surprise. So if you're going to do that, I'm okay with going a little heavy on big, but then surprise, you probably want to add even extra emphasis on like big surprise. That's a little flat versus big surprise. Big surprise. I would have gone a little bit higher pitch on surprise. That should have been a big surprise. So that would have been my big suggestion there for Sycamore. If you have any questions about that file, be sure to let me know. But that's kind of just my quick thoughts there. Let me know, guys, if there were other things that you noticed about that file. You can also let me know in the chat what you think about everything there. We're going to take a look in a moment at our next file. Okay. Let's just take a quick look. Just talk about the chat or just the stream in general. Let us know how many episodes of Schwa have you guys seen. Right now, I'm seeing that for a lot of people have seen 2 to 5. Some people have seen 6 to 10. A lot of people have seen 10 plus, 2 to 5 and 10 plus. Those are the big answers. That's cool. And then a number of people have said it's their first time. Hey, that's great. That is great. Okay. And then, of course, we also have a question too about what is something that you learned about American English. You can also let me know in the chat. What are some things that you've recently learned? Anyways, I'm going to go take a look at our second file. I'm also 53rd. Man, it says it's been their 53rd. Oh my gosh. Have you been counting? Is it actually 53? Have we done that many episodes? Oh my gosh. It's like a year's worth. Like, it could be fair. If you're going by, oh, because this last time was your year. Okay, I see what you're doing. I see what you're doing there. Sneaky, sneaky. Okay. Take a look at this file. Give me one sec. Let's see what we have here.
That rock really tied the room together, did it not?
Okay. I think, I do think I have some other files that have a lot of audio. So make sure, again, if you are sending files too, that the volume sounds good. I would test with headphones.
That rock really tied the room together, did it not?
Originally, I thought this said that rock really tied the room together. That would have had a very different meaning. So this is the sentence taking a look at.
Out of the frame.
Whoops, wrong one. Everyone's sending 3-second files.
That rock really tied the room together, did it not?
Okay. I think it sounds a little flat. So I think we're going to have some suggestions here to help this sound a little bit more natural.
That rock really tied the room together.
Because again, you're giving me like 2 pitches. That rug really tied the room together. That rug really tied the room together. Right? So there's not really a whole lot of contrast. And this is why it's really important in American English to have a large number of pitches. Have things that go really high, but have things that go a little low as well, because otherwise everything's going to kind of like blend together. And it's going to be hard to tell where does one word end and where does one word stop. So one immediate piece of feedback is going to be, can we incorporate a wider range of pitches?
That rock really tied the room.
That rug really tied. That rug really tied.
That rock really tied the.
Do you hear that? That rug really tied. That rug really tied. Like everything there is like at the same pitch. That rug really tied. That rug really tied. Like that rug really tied the room together. So that rug, I put a stress on that. I raised the pitch. That rug, and then I'm going to add a stress on really. When you see really, really is one of those words that when you have it in a sentence, it very often gets stressed. Not always, but very often. So if you see really, that's one word that in many cases you'll be very safe if you go slightly higher in pitch on that. That rug really tied the room together. That rug really tied the room together.
That rock really tied the room together.
And you stressed room. Really tied the room together. That rug really tied the room together. I don't think room is probably going to get a stress. So I would take the stress off of room. Because the heavier stress is going to be either really or it's going to be tied. Like really tied the room together. That rug really tied the room together. I think really is your best stress there. Like that rug really tied the room together. In terms of vowel sounds,
That rock really tied the room together.
so again, we mentioned schwa sound on rug. So make sure you can hear a difference between these two words. I'll put them in the chat. You're not quite doing an ah sound, but you're kind of leaning into that territory a little bit. Can you say these again? Rock, rug, rock, rug. Can you guys hear a difference between those? That first one is your ah sound. Second one is your sound. So I do think there's a little bit of confusion there on that vowel sound. In addition to that,
That rock really tied the room together.
room. Let's take a look at room.
That rock really tied the room together.
Room, room, room. So I feel like we're getting a little bit of a rolled R.
Really tied the room together.
Really tied the room. really tied the room versus really tied the room, really tied the room. So again, American English, unfortunately, Americans are not usually very good at rolling their R's. It's not a sound. The rolled R does not really appear in American English. So if you've noticed that you're doing that, that's an immediate sign that you're doing something that native speakers are not doing. It's just a note. The other thing too is that the oo sound is a vowel that exists in most languages, and I'm wondering if we might be having some interference with our first language a little bit because your placement sounds a lot higher. You're projecting from a higher position. You're also really closing off your breath, so not a lot of air is moving, making it through, and that's how you're getting that ooh ooh instead of an ooh ooh. So I would try doing this progression. Okay, so I would try doing an ooh sound first, ooh ooh, and I would really watch your lips. So, for instance, let me make myself a little bigger so you guys can see my lips are really big. I'm losing my mouse. It's the struggles, guys. You guys know every week I lose my mouse. Okay, so notice for that ooh sound. Watch my lips there. Ooh, ooh, ooh. And I know, I get it. There's a great chance that if you study pronunciation or you've been to like taking classes or anything, your teachers probably told you to do round lips like ooh, ooh, ooh. And that works. I'm not saying don't do that. But the problem is when that happens, it's much easier to kind of switch back into your first language because for many people's first languages, that's how you make the ooh sound. You round your lips. Ooh, ooh. That's how a lot of other languages are doing it. They're like ooh, ooh. Um, so that's kind of just something to be aware of. So to avoid it, it's not necessary to round your lips to do an ooh sound. You can have straight lips. Watch. Ooh, ooh. Compare. Ooh, 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 ooh. See how much more air I'm getting through? Okay, so my suggestion would be straighten your lips a little bit. Don't round your lips too much. Open your mouth a little wider and see again if you get an sound. If that's still tricky, what you can try doing is try taking it down 5 times, like ooh, 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 ooh. Again, ooh, 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 ooh. Notice each time I'm going down, lowering my placement. And if that's still difficult too, you can join everything together like ooh, ooh. So that's just me sending the sound lower. Okay, so trying to lower that placement. The other thing you want to watch out for is I think that your vowel is shifting a little bit as it links to the M.
Really tied the room
The room versus the room. So I feel like I'm hearing ooh
room together. Really tied the
room, room together versus room together. So try not to shift from your oo sounds when it links to the M. So it's not it's So you can do this progression a couple times. And I suggest doing this in one breath without any pauses between. It's like ooh, room. Ooh, room. Ooh, room. Ooh, room. Making sure that ooh, room. It's not it's So just kind of really watching out for that part there. And I see some comments have come in. I will check those in a moment.
really tied the room together. Did it not?
Did it not? So you're putting the stress on did, but in that phrase, first of all, did it not is not a very common phrase, at least in American English. It exists, it's fine, people understand it, but in terms of frequency, not the most high frequency phrase, just to note. But if you do say it, your stress is probably not going to be on did, it's probably going to be on not. Did it not? Did it not?
Together. Did it not?
Did it not? Did it not? Also, your intonation pattern is usually going to be rising at the end. Okay, so instead, did it not? Falling. Did it not? Rising.
Together. Did it not?
I want to hear did it again.
Together. Did it not?
Did it?
Together. Did it not?
Did it not? Did it not? So I do think your placement's high on your short I sound too. So it's kind of giving you like this E sound, like did it versus did it. So basically, what's happening for I think a lot of this sentence is I think your placement's just really high.
That rock really tied the room together. Did it not?
Yeah, everything's here. That rug really tied the room together, did it not? That rug really tied the room together, did it not? That rug really tied the room together, did it not? That rug really tied the room together, did it not? Can you hear the difference between the higher placement and the lower placement? Yeah, so those are going to be my big comments there and suggestions. Hopefully that makes sense. If you have any questions about anything I said there, be sure to let me know in the chat because I love questions. questions. And I see, speaking of the chats, I know some things came in. Okay. Edward makes a note, super important note too. English intonation is made of peaks and valleys. Yeah. And, I would even say it's not even just necessarily about intonation. It's also just kind of like just the general rhythm of sentences. You don't want to, in general in English, you don't want to have two words in a row that have the exact same pitch. You want to have one that's going to go higher, especially if it's stressed. One that's going to go lower, especially if it's not stressed, if it's reduced. So that's a very common pattern. Other things. Manual notes. You can't roll the R without a high placement. That's why I see Naya struggle with it. I haven't thought of it that way, but I think that makes a lot of sense because, if your placement is lower, again, so much of the sound is projecting from here. Whereas, like, if you're rolling your R, like, it's like, that's really hard to do versus like, like that's immediately is raising my placement. So I do think it's a great point. And Nick says, this is very helpful. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Nick. I appreciate the kind words. Thank you, sir. So glad you could join us again. I'm so excited to hear your file. Oh my gosh. Okay. I need to take a quick water break, but just a quick reminder too. Like what you're hearing. Let us know by liking and subscribing. Ooh. Let me know, guys, if you're drinking. If you're drinking something, what are we drinking today? I know for a lot of you it's evening time. Also, what are we doing? What are we doing right now together? Like, I'm here, like, teaching, but what are you guys doing? Are you washing dishes? Are you laying down in bed? It actually, we actually had our first snow of the season. It's actually snowing right now. At least it was like 20 minutes ago. It was snowing outside. So that's what's happening here. Let me know what it's like where you guys are. If you're ready for the first snow of the season where you are, unless you're in the southern hemisphere. In that case, happy spring. I think this is the file we just looked at. Out of the frying. Nope. We got another new file. So let me send you guys our next file. Out of frying pan. I think is out of frying pan into the fire. This is an expression. Pan and into the fire. Marcos always loves doing expressions. Out of the frying pan and into the fire. Bam, bam. Have you guys heard of this expression before? If any guesses what this expression means, if you've not heard of it before, or even if you have heard of it before, what does this mean? What does this mean? Always a great question. And Emmanuel notes, we have snow already. That's so cool. I mean, I could have waited a little longer. I wouldn't have minded. It would have been okay if it didn't snow, but that is what it is. I like snow. I wasn't waking up this morning expecting it. Yeah, I mean, it's probably like 2 degrees outside, 3 degrees. Slightly cold. Especially because like this week it's been like 10, 15 degrees, maybe a little warmer than that. Anyways. Let me bring this back into view. My daily struggles of losing my mouse. Someone else lose their mouse all the time. It's just me. It's probably just me, right? Out of the frying pan and into the fire. Marcos, it tricked you. You got tricked, Marcos. Do you know where you got tricked? Out of the frying pan and into the fire. You got tricked by a compound noun. If you have not heard of a compound noun before, a compound noun is when you have two words that join together to make a single thing. So, for instance, a cell phone. A cell phone is a compound noun. Cell phone, it's one thing, two words, one thing, no, stress cell. In this case, our compound noun is frying pan. So frying pan, two words, one thing, a frying pan. So we're going to put the stress on frying. Out of the frying pan. It's not frying pan, it's frying pan. Out of the frying pan. Do you hear that? Frying pan versus frying pan. It's just a note there. Edward also adds to leap from the frying pan into the fire. I would say I've not heard the leap one before, although that could be like an American versus a British thing. I mean, maybe some people in the US say leap. That's just not one I'm familiar with. Out of the frying pan and into the fire. I think also there you can hear on into. And into the fire. Frying pan and into the. Because I feel like I'm hearing een. in versus n. This is always a tricky thing. Short I sounds plus ends. It's like in, within, into. Just some other quick words that have that sort of in sound. It's like in, within, in, within, into. I would do a short I first, like then say the words in, within, into. In, within, into. If you find you're saying in, within, into, that's a sign that your replacement's really high and you're shifting to an E sound. Okay. Manual notes that you jump from the lake straight into the well. Is this like the Romanian version? Just curious. But yeah, same kind of idea. You go from one horrible situation into another one. Edward notes that out of can also be pronounced as outa, and that's definitely true. Out of the frying pan, out of the frying pan. Those are both options. Great, great, great. I love these little notes that Edward always adds for us. Are there other parts of this that go
Out of the frying pan and into the fire.
out of the frying pan and into the fire? Out of the frying pan into the fire. That's another stress pattern that you could have used. Like it's stress out and fire instead of frying and fire. Out of the frying pan into the fire versus out of frying pan into the fire. Either of those stress patterns, I think, can work for that expression. And Emmanuel says, yes, the lake and the well, that's the version in Romanian. Cool. If there's a different version of that expression or something similar in your language, be sure to let me know in the chat. Love hearing those little differences. Also, Emmanuel, quick question. How do you say good luck in Romanian? Is it more like Spanish and Portuguese, or is it like crazy like Italian? Because in Italian, it's like in bocca lupo, which basically means into the mouth of the wolf. Like Italian has the best expression for saying good luck. That's so good.
Out of the frying pan and
Okay, let's take a look at that one. Also, in everyone's first languages, are there any crazy ways of saying good luck? Like another one in English would be like break a leg. Obviously, that's a famous one. Very violent, but it's something that has very good intentions. Okay. Oh, I am not. Guys, I've done a bad job. I need to keep timestamps. Always forget timestamps. We are at 37:20. Just going to make a quick note for myself here. 37:20. That's our next feedback. And Edward notes, in compounds like frying pan, walking stick, and swimming pool, the first element is stressed to avoid ambiguity. Facts. Facts. I think that's. I imagine there's also other reasons too, but one of the things is it does separate it from the noun, so it makes it less ambiguous. I think that's a fair statement. I don't. Man, you'll need to send me a pronunciation file of how to say that, which just means luck. It's not even just like good luck, just luck. Luck. It's like in Star Wars, but instead of saying like "May the Force be with you," there's like "Force." Anyways, okay, so I have made a note. 37:20 is going to be our next piece of feedback. I really need to remember to do timestamps. Okay, so we got a little bit of a longer file here.
The next big thing to really focus on is design. And when we're talking about design, there are actually two parts to this: interaction design and visual design.
Okay, we got a nice long file here. So we're going to take a look at. Before we do, though, a question. Mr. Go Big, Go Home. Good to see you again, sir. What does analogy mean? An analogy, think of it as kind of just like a connection between two things. Like usually to show a similar sort of relationship. So for instance, one analogy could be like if you ever take like tests in English, like for instance, like if you ever take like a GRE test or things like that, there might be an analogy section. We'll just say like a door is to a house as like a lid. No, this is a horrible analogy. That's like a lid is to a pot, as in like something you open. That's a horrible analogy, but it's just something like that to demonstrate a relationship between two things that is similar. And everyone knows that in Romanian, there's different words for good luck and bad luck. Oh, this is just one word. Interesting. I like that. That sounds like something that would be important. You want to separate the two lux. I like that increasing of the separations. I think language is so fascinating. Like the things that they distinguish, because a lot of times it shows what historically was viewed as important. It's like the fact that like good luck and bad luck were such key concepts that like no, we need a separate word for each one. I really like that. Anyways,
The next big thing to really focus on is design.
okay, let's just focus on that part.
The next big thing to really focus on is design.
Next big thing to really focus on is design. I would cut off your stress on to focus on, because what it's doing is it's making your sentence feel a little choppy. Like the next big thing to really focus on is design. So now we're left with a sentence that feels a little bit choppy. You could have just done the next big thing to really focus on is design. The next big thing to really focus on is design. Or you could have stressed really. The next big thing to really focus on is design. Or you could stress focus. The next big thing to really focus on is design. Any one of those options, I just think you just notice it's going to let you flow a little bit more. It also gives you an opportunity to use some heavier stresses, so you can increase your pitch ranges to make things kind of stand out more.
The next big thing to really focus on is design.
Let's talk about some vowel sounds here.
The next big thing
I really like your S sounds, is sounds, is sounds, so short eyes. Next big thing, I really like what you're doing there. I think it sounds really good. The only thing I'm going to say is that that NG sound, make sure that when you say that NG, what's going to happen is the back of your tongue is high, and the front of your tongue is down, so it's more like So I'm not really hearing that NG there on thing. Thing. The next big thing. The next big thing. Just a note there. Let's hear that part again.
The next big thing to really
It's like thin. It's almost like more of an N. Next big thing. Next big thing. Next big thing. Next big thing. Can you hear that difference?
big thing to really focus on
Focus. The O sound. Your placement was really high, and your breath was really restricted. That's how you're getting that like focus.
really focus on
Focus on.
really focus on
To really focus on, versus really focus on. To really focus on. O. Can you do like O, focus? O, focus. I would practice that a little bit.
is design.
Is design. So you're saying design.
Is design.
And that's fine. You can say design. A lot of times what happens with design is that instead of an E sound, because your stress is on the second syllable, right? It's really more on design part. So what tends to happen is instead of saying D, when you see the letters D, E at the start of a word, very often they get reduced to just a schwa sound with a D. So just like the design is design is design. So instead of is design, more is design. It's just kind of something to experiment with. D is not wrong, but does probably more common.
Is design. And when we're talking about design,
Okay, I see what you're doing with the pattern here, and I think it sounds good, but I just want to make some little tweaks.
is design. And when we're talking about design,
And I wouldn't put a stress on when. I wouldn't raise the pitch. Keep the pitch a little bit lower. And when we're talking about design, I like your stress on talking. I like what you're doing, raising that pitch there. Good. And when we're talking about design,
and when we're talking about design,
and don't stress design. And when we're talking about design, that's how you're saying it now, versus, and when we're talking about design, so you want to lower the pitch on design, but do keep that use a rising intonation at the end, because there's more information coming. Like, and when we're talking about design, notice how those pitches there. Talking about design, that sort of movement I think is going to be much more common. And speaking of design, Emmanuel asks the question. Can you use a short eye on design? Design. I feel like the schwa might be more common, but I think a short eye is, a lot of times when you're reducing a vowel sound, the short eye is just as common, if not more common than the schwa, in all honesty. So it's fine if you use a short eye. The reality is that the part is so fast that it doesn't really matter. It's just the one sound you're probably not going to hear as often as often as the D. You can hear it, but it's not as common. Other things there. So when we're talking about design,
When we talking about design, there are actually two parts to this.
R sounds. What sounds like a French R? Like pots, like R. So the R sound is such a tricky sound. I get it. I know how the R sound is traditionally taught. I understand. Traditionally, when you hear about an R sound, you hear that okay, like it needs to be really strong in American English, like and things like that. But the reality is that I think with R sounds, the emphasis isn't really so much on the R itself. The emphasis actually tends to be on the vowels around it. So, for instance, parts. One thing, if you're finding an R sound difficult to make, some languages groups do. So, for instance, not saying you're a French speaker, but again, there's some similarities with French here. The R sound, or also Hebrew is another language too. Um, if you find the R sound a little tricky to make, that one thing you can do is to make an R sound. The back of your tongue needs to be high. So right now it sounds like the R the tongue might be a little bit too low. Anyways, so what we can do is try making a g sound, because when you make a g, what you're doing is you're raising the back of your tongue. So just like make a g sound once, like g g, and now do it like 3 times, like g g g g g g. Try to link it. Say it like 3 times in one breath, and try to link them all together, like g g g g g g g g. Okay. And then do that 3 times and then try to do a R sound. Because the G and the R, for a G sound, the back of your tongue is really high. For a R sound, the back of the tongue is high, but not that high. You don't want to make contact. So just try to alternate between those, like G G G R R G G G R R G G G R R. And if you find that you're still doing like, that means that like well, first of all, your placement's probably like here, and you're really blocking off a lot of air. So not a lot of air is making it through. So this go back again to the beginning where we talked about ways to kind of check to see if your diaphragm's engaging. So put your knuckles on your ribs, take a big breath in, breathe out, and try to say that R sound 3 times and feel your diaphragm like ra 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 ra. Okay, so some example practice exercises you can do for R's. It may not be perfect. Again, in general, when I'm doing R sounds, it's much easier to work with, like to actually hear you in person and kind of do some things together. But those are just some practice exercises, like switch it from a G to an R. But going back to parts, so like try to once you get more comfortable with R sounds, you can again do like ga 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 ra ra ga 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 ra ra. Then you can try going from an ah sound like ah ah ah, and then you can try adding an R sound after like ah 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 r r r ah 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 r r r ah 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 r r r. It's not r r r. It's not ah ah ah. It's r r r r r r. So just a note there. Parts, 2 parts to this.
Design. There are actually two parts to this.
Also, your sounds very tense. There are two parts to this.
There are actually two parts to.
Two parts to this. Two parts to this.
There are actually two parts.
Two parts versus 2 parts. 2 parts. 2 parts. 2 parts. So again, the sound your placement is just really high again, and your throat's super constricted. We talked about the sound earlier in the stream, so I definitely recommend taking a look at that.
To this, and erection.
There are actually
2 parts to this.
Actually is another word. We talked earlier about really. Actually is another word that when you see it appear in a sentence, it very often gets stressed. Like they're actually, I would also maybe put a stress on two. There are actually 2 parts to this. And when we're talking about design, there are actually 2 parts to this. So you can stress actually, or you don't have to stress it. You can just stress two. There are actually 2 parts to this. And when we're talking about design, there are actually 2 parts to this.
There are actually 2 parts to this.
Also, you see have a rising intonation there on this, but actually, in all, the reality is that this is probably going to have falling intonation, because that's kind of a complete idea. There are actually 2 parts to this. There are actually 2 parts to this falling intonation. And then we get the parts themselves.
There are actually 2 parts to this. Interaction design and visual design.
Okay, I like half of this. Interaction design. So again, we have some compound nouns. Just so like earlier, we talked about cell phone and things. Interaction design. So that's a specific type of design. So we'll stress interaction design, and visual design. You want to stress visual, not design, and visual design.
Interaction design and visual design.
Visual design. So you want to do lots of steps down. Visual design. Visual design. Interaction design and visual design. Between those, visual is going to be the heaviest stress. So that's going to be your highest pitch. And from there, you want to keep going down. And you want to go down really low if you can. Visual design. Visual design. Don't just do visual design. Visual design. That's too flat. Visual design. Visual design. So vis needs to go really high. The ein at the end needs to go really low, ideally. Okay, that's going to add a lot more contrast, a lot more emotion. It's a little bit more engaging. So lots of pieces of feedback there. If anything is not clear, be sure to let me know. But thank you so much for sending your file. We always appreciate it. All righty. I think I need another quick water break. Like what you're hearing, let us know by liking and subscribing. And Emmanuel asked a question here. Stress, interaction, and visual. Interaction design and visual design. Cues arising into action and the following are visual. Interaction design. Interaction design. You could like interaction design. You could do it that way. I personally would have fall like interaction design, but you could use a rising there, and visual design, and you could use a falling there. So that is another possibility. Okay. Before we take a look at our next file, guys, just to kind of let you know. So again, lots of things are happening in November. Novenglish. Again, in case you are just joining us in the stream, welcome. This is called the Schwa Mill. It's an episode, or basically a series that we have. It's our weekly show where we look at your American English pronunciation and give some suggestions and things. So you can actually send us your pronunciation files and we take a look at it. It's the only regular show I know of on YouTube that does this sort of thing. And again, every Saturday at this time. There's some other things that, again, are happening on the channel as well. We're doing a challenge called Novenglish, which is our 30-day American English accent challenge, where every day for the month of November, we're posting a new video. And the goal is that by the end of the 30 days, you will have all of the fundamentals that you need to achieve a natural sound in American English. It's not going to do all of the exercises. So, you always want to do more practice and things like that. But at least it's an introduction to the major concepts that you will need. And one other thing that we do too with Fluent American is, maybe you're finding this helpful and you're like, man, I want to have feedback like this, but every single day of the week. One of the things that we have is a group called Mission English. It's basically 18 live streams, Monday through Friday, just like this. But imagine that you're right there on the side cam with me live on screen, and you can ask me questions and we can kind of talk and discuss things that basically you have questions about. We do exercises together. I listen, I give feedback. So again, 18 lessons in a private group. And the other advantage too is you can see all of the previous lessons from past classes. Just kind of want to talk about that for one quick moment. And again, it's called Mission English. Ooh, ooh. Notice that for me, I'm not really having that ooh, ooh. And it doesn't sound exactly the same, like ooh and ooh, but they're close enough that for the speech that you're doing in daily life, it'll be okay. Really nice day.
Really nice day.
So what I'm hearing, so I heard really nice day. So what happened was you put day at a lower pitch. Really nice day.
Just loose.
Okay. I would say, I thought for the most part it sounded pretty good. I think there were a couple words that we do want to watch out for a little bit. Hey, hey, hey.
Hey, hey, hey. Hey, hey, hey.
Yeah, there you go. That last one's great. Yeah, I know some of you guys actually joining us right now in the chat are actually Mission English members. So feel free if you have questions about Mission English and how people are finding it. You can always talk to them, but in general, very, very positive feedback. But it would be great to work with you every single day of the week, Monday through Friday. And what you can do, again, is just go to fluentamerican.com and /Mission English. You'll see that same trailer and all the things. And we also, this is our schedule of the live stream. So it's a 30-minute live stream every day of the week. And as we get more members, we'll be able to do more live streams as well, which is really exciting too. So just something to think about if you're trying to get some more feedback just like this, personal feedback for you every single day of the week. Okay. Couple more original files. Let me just make a note from our next one. So 37, 20, 54. 54, 53 is our next file. Oh, for sure. The more the merrier. The more the merrier. It's nice to have a little community. Sorry, guys. Kicked myself out for a minute. Got weird. Let me share my screen once more. Give me a moment. I know I kicked myself out. It was a horrible experience. Never do that. 0 stars out of 10. Would not recommend. All right, let's share once more. Okay. Yes, it just happened again. Yes, I know what is causing this. I promise. I know how to run a live stream. I promise. uh, okay, take a look at our next file here. Okay. I know I did it again. I know. I'm sorry. It's a horrible experience. I'm a horrible person. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I know the reason why. I know what happened. Boo that man. Boo Jeff. Doing all the crazy things. Let me share my screen once more. Hang on. It's like, I don't know, has this ever happened to you? I know several people in my family, for instance, have take 3, yes. Have cut themselves, like, for instance, like cutting a bagel. Like, literally what has happened in my family is like someone will be holding a bagel and they'll be teaching like a kid, usually like a cousin or a nephew or something, like, hey guys, this is how you don't cut a bagel. And then they'll like cut it like this and then they'll cut themselves. And it's like, ah. Like, anyways, let's see what our next file is.
So, to get started, why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself?
Okay, I have some ideas about some stress suggestions and things I want to give you.
So, to get started, why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself?
A little bit about yourself. That's the very first thing we're going to tell you, Manuel, is tell me a little bit about yourself. You want to stress about, not yourself. Tell me a little bit about yourself. That's a pretty common question in English. So, tell me a little bit about yourself. Tell me a little bit about yourself. That's a very common pattern and way of saying that too. Tell me a little bit. Tell me a little bit. So, like a little stress on tell. Tell me a little bit, and then a stress on about yourself. Tell me a little bit about yourself. Tell me a little bit about yourself. And notice that too on about yourself, like about yourself, about yourself. Oh God, I did it again. I think it's the last one. Oh God, they're each 4. I have a 50-50 shot of getting this right. Bet it all on black.
So,
Got
get
it.
started, why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself?
So, to get started, let's do that part where I gave a lot of feedback there for the first part.
So, to get started.
So, to get started. So, to get started. Okay, I like what I'm hearing there.
So, to get started.
So, to get started.
So, to get started.
I really like your so. Lots of breath coming through on that O sound. So good. Lots of breath. Really like that.
So, to get started.
To get, it does feel like on that to get, our placement's a little high, like to get versus to get. I think you get a little bit more air through. Like all that air that you had on so, I guess we just lost it because it does feel like it's a little bit more constricted in the next part. So to get started.
Get started.
Started. I would also say maybe a little bit. You can kind of hear that placement on the id on started because it gets more id, just like short I plus a d. Id started. So get started.
I get started.
Because like started placement raising versus started placement staying low.
Get started. Why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself?
Why don't you tell me a little bit? Why don't you tell me a little bit? I want to hear that little bit part.
Started. Why don't you tell me a little bit about?
Getting a little bit muffled there on the little bit. Little bit.
Why don't you tell me a little bit about?
A little bit. Like, you're kind of giving me the same pitch over and over. A little bit, a little bit, a little bit, a little bit. Versus I don't think the issue is necessarily the mumbliness. Is that a word? Did I just make up a word? Is mumbliness a word? But I don't think the issue is the mumbliness as much as it's the lack of the pitch change. I think if you had gone down on like all bit, little bit, little bit, little bit, I think that would have helped a lot with getting that to sound a little smoother.
Why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself?
Little bit about. So that's your movement. Little bit about. Just doing that sort of movement would have helped with clarity.
Tell me a little bit about yourself.
And also keep in mind again, like we said earlier, about the bout is going to be your stress, right? So that's going to have the highest pitch. Tell me a little bit about yourself.
So, to get started, why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself?
I like your link in there with about and yourself.
A little bit about yourself.
About yourself. So again, opting for that ch sound between about and your. Great. So you can say about yourself with a held sound, or you can say about yourself, about yourself with a ch sound. Either of those, I think, are pretty natural options there. See if there's other things. Emmanuel, if you have some questions about this file that I can answer, be sure to let me know.
So, to get started, why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, but those are going to be my main comments there. I think in general sounds good. It's just that middle part, just to add a little bit more contrast would have been helpful. But thanks as always for sending the file. We cannot do this without you guys. All right. And again, in case you're just joining us, what we do is every single live stream, which happens every Saturday at this time, we take a look at your pronunciation files. You can see people's pronunciation files. They've submitted them here. I'm being very careful not to lose the stream again. They submitted their pronunciation files here. So then we can take a look at everything and things. Oh, it's a different Nick. This isn't the... No, it's the same thing. Never mind. What am I thinking? Sorry. Anyways, Emmanuel says great feedback. Nick, that didn't sound... That's it. When we listened to your file, that didn't sound like... You sounded different in that file. I don't know why. But not related. But again, we listen to your pronunciation files. Sorry, I got really distracted. We listen to your pronunciation files and give suggestions to help you achieve an even more natural sound in American English, trying to expand your accent, trying to craft your accent here at the Schwa Mill. 2 more original files. This one's a 10-second one. Let's see what we got.
This world awaits ever on the goodness for the nephelist. Never wait at name.
Oh, man. Shoke rocking the poetry. It's poetry. Let's hear it again.
This world awaits ever on the goodness for the nephelist. Never wait at name.
Yeah, I'll be honest, for some of those last words, again, it looks like some old English things. I can't guarantee the pronunciation advice I'm going to give is going to be the most accurate. I could be mispronouncing them themselves, but I will do my best. Nick says that. It's them 100%. Wow. Wow. Nick, you changed. No, I'm just kidding. And yes, there is a file named Surprise, which we're going to have to wait and see. I have no idea. I have some suspicions, though. But going back to Shoke's file here.
This world awaits ever on the goodness.
This world, I'm guessing, awaits. Like it's still, like this world is still waiting on this goodness for you. I think the nay versus never is kind of like neither nor. For you, never fail, nor right? White, I don't know. At need, when needed, would be my guess. I don't know, man. There's a lot happening. My old English is not very good. So I'm sorry, Manuel. I don't have great answers here. But we can look at the pronunciation. We can try to.
This world.
This world. This world. Emmanuel suggests that white and need, when and need. Maybe. White to me doesn't feel like it would be when, but it could be.
This world.
I do think when you're saying world, the all sound gets slightly tenser at the end, like whirl versus whirl. So I'd really encourage you to keep the front of your tongue down there for world, that dark L. And maybe even open your mouth a little wider. Whirl, world, this world.
This world awaits.
Awaiteth. You know, if you see like these old English like ETH, a lot of times like if, like a short I sound, if, awaiteth, awaiteth. Although again, old English, probably British English, the T will probably be kept like awaiteth. This world awaiteth, or something like that.
This world awaits. Ever on the goodness.
On the goodness.
For the world awaits. Ever on the goodness. For
Goodness. I would say goodness. More goodness.
ever on the goodness.
I feel like your S sound. Goodness. Goodness. Ness. Ness. See if you hear a difference there.
Ever on the goodness.
Goodness. Goodness. Just a note there. Again, I think a placement thing.
For the
For thou. If you see THOU, again, Old English, usually it's pronounced as like thou, based on my knowledge.
On the goodness. For the nephelist.
I would probably say nay. Nay failest. For thou nay failest. And again, at this point, I cannot guarantee anything. Okay. Again, Old English, not my forte, not my strength. We'll have to find an expert, like a someone does like Renaissance stuff.
For the nephelist.
They failest. They failest. Again, I'm guessing failest. That est probably is like a short I sound. Ist.
The nephelist. Never wait at name.
And instead of wait, I'm guessing white. But I could be wrong. And then need, I'm guessing.
Never wait at name.
I'm hearing Nate versus need. I would do an E sound here. But again, I don't feel super confident in that second half for my own pronunciation. I would pronounce those things. I mean, I asked, is THI pronounced with an I sound here? I would see, and again, I don't have knowledge here. My guess is that I sound, you would expect something more like THY, like thy, or something like that. But I could be wrong. This is just my own interpretation. To be honest, I really don't feel the most qualified to give the best pronunciation advice to this. So those are just my quick suggestions there. If you have questions about a specific part of this that you like my feedback on, let me know. Otherwise, I tried. Sorry if I failed you, but I tried. But we'll have to do a live stream where we practice pronouncing things in Old English. I'll try to find an expert on like Old English so we can all like we're like 400 years older. But thank you for sending that file. Always great to see some poetry and some old quotes and things. Making a quick note of our timestamp because I want to make sure you guys have, if you're watching it in the replay, you guys have some knowledge here. What time are we at? I'm seeing 1:08, 37. Yeah. Also notes spelled thy. Edward always brings in notes about British English and things like that. Edward, do you know much about Old English, things like that? Can you give us some suggestions if you have any? Okay, so that was for our next pronunciation file. Great. Okay, let's see what we got here.
Your shoes won't fit because your feet are just too big.
Hopefully you're not like trying to practice this for the time when you need to say this to someone.
Your shoes won't fit because your feet are just too big.
Just trying to think, when would I need to say this? Maybe to my son. Let's see. These shoes won't fit. A great file. All right, so here's the what we're gonna be taking a look at. That's great. Because it switched my camera. Okay, let's listen to this once more.
Your shoes won't fit because your feet are just too big. Your shoes won't.
Did you say these? I feel like I'm hearing your.
Your shoes won't.
Your shoes. That's what I'm hearing. Your.
Your shoes won't.
I'm not hearing a Z sound. I'm not hearing an E sound. I'm just hearing your. I'm going to assume that's a typo. If you wanted to say these, you want to make sure these that Z sounds a little clearer as long as that TH. These shoes. I'm definitely hearing your.
Your shoes won't fit.
Uh, how are you saying fit versus feet?
Your shoes won't fit because your feet are.
You're saying them the same way. Okay. So, some points of comparison, some always good minimal pairs. This is a great exercises. Just going to give some more examples. Let's give like 3. We'll see these in chat in a moment. Okay. So I'm here like E sound versus short I sound. So again, E, eh. So we'll do each of these pairs. I would recommend doing the vowel sounds first, then the pair. It's like E, eh, we, wet. E, eh, si, set. E, eh, we, wet. So again, feet fit, seat set, we wet. Just the differences there. Because right now, your fit and your feet sound the same. I'm feeling your shoes won't fit because your feet versus your shoes won't fit because your feet.
Your shoes won't fit because your feet are just too big. Your shoes won't fit because your feet are just too big.
So another thing too is that you're kind of falling into this very rhythmic pattern. Your shoes won't fit 'cause your feet are too big. Your shoes won't fit 'cause your feet are just too big. Like it's like very predictable. And in general, English does not like those sort of like sing-songy patterns where possible. So one thing you could try doing. So right now you have a lot of stresses. You are stressing.
Your shoes won't
Shoes
fit because
fit,
your feet are just
feet
too big.
big. Shoes fit, feet big. Those are your stresses right now. Let's cut those in half. These shoes won't fit because your feet are just too big. Like I would stress shoes and big. That's one option. These shoes won't fit because your feet are just too big. Because your feet are just too big. That's another option too. You could do shoes and feet. These shoes won't fit because your feet are just too big. Those are just some options there. So I would cut out some stresses. I think it's going to help a lot with the rhythm. We mentioned some vowel things again, like fit versus feet.
Your shoes won't fit because your feet are just too big.
I will say I like how you're saying like are just too. I like that are just too big or just too big. So like you're going down, 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 up.
Your feet are just too big.
Again, I was also working on the short I sound for big. Sometimes your vowel sounds are also a little weak compared to your consonant sounds. So, for instance, the word big, let's try saying big 3 times, like big, 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 big. If you feel like you're saying big, 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 that's a sign that your B is really strong and even your G is a little strong. So, just try to say that 3 times and kind of see how that sounds. Try to shift that focus more onto your vowels.
Your shoes won't fit because your feet are just too big.
I would also say that right now, all your stressed words have like the same pitch. Shoes, these shoes, feet, big. Like everything's like the same pitch. What's the word that's the heaviest? Try to, instead of every time there's a stressed word, always use the same pitch. When you're saying a sentence, try to have like one word that's like your heavy stress, and then your other, your other stresses are weaker. So maybe you want to stress shoes. Like these shoes won't fit because your feet are just too big. Or you could stress feet. Like these shoes won't fit because your feet are just too big. It's like just make sure that there's one really clear, heavy stress. And I think that's going to have a pretty big impact on give you a more natural sound here. Okay. manual notes. There are too many peaks and valleys. And yeah, that kind of goes back to the rhythm notes that we said. But those are, again, going to be my big suggestions here. And I think it's going to have a really big impact on your rhythm. But also, again, pay attention to those notes on the vowel sounds that we mentioned. But thanks for sending that file. Really great to hear from you. I hope to see you again next week as well. Edward, our resident expert on Old English, says, once came across the Lord's Prayer, for thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory. I have no idea how it's pronounced. Very fair. Neither do I. That makes two of us. Okay, we have arrived at the point in the show where I need to vet some more pronunciation files because I have not heard a lot of these new ones that have just gotten sent in, which is always very, very exciting. So if you guys can just give me a moment to take a look at these. In the meantime, talk about some other pronunciation opportunities. We talked earlier about Mission English, which is again our live stream that you can join Monday through Friday. And you can join at fluentamerican.com/Mission English. It'd be great to work with you every single day of the week. But another option that we have, if that option is too expensive for you, is we have a Telegram group, which you can join either at fluentamerican.com/Mission English or at patreon.com/fluentamerican. And basically what happens in the Telegram group is every single day of the week, I post a challenge. You can reply in the Telegram group with your own audio, and I give you suggestions on things that you can do to achieve a more natural sound. Okay, so if you're trying to get a little bit, like just a couple minutes, 2-3 minutes of pronunciation practice in every single day of the week, then I strongly recommend listening or joining our Telegram group program, which you can kind of see here.
Eel, please. I think your O sounds are a little bit tense. I'm going to let O take off the T on center.
Okay. I see I have 3 new files that I need to take a look at. So if you guys can just give me a moment of your time while I vet them, just to make sure they are good. Okay, Fernandez, we got you. Okay, Ada, we got yours as well. And then, oh my gosh, this is a super long one. Okay, well, I think we are good then to get started.
Hey everyone, it's Jeff.
All my troubles seem so far.
Okay, alright.
All right, let's let's get this one over with. I think you guys will like this. I'll be honest, I have not vetted this fully because this is a little bit long. So the minute that anything inappropriate may happen, I will have to shut it down. So I do apologize for anything you are about to witness, but we'll see what sort of pronunciation advice I will be able to give, if any, right here.
Jeff? 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 Is that you, Jeff? Hey, come here, Jeff. Haven't seen you in a while. How you doing? I missed you.
Same. What is the context for this?
Hey, want to come and say hi to my friend? Alrighty.
The situation is Jeff comes across his old friend at Times Square, but little does he know, he's doing like a one-act play here. I missed him. It's been a minute.
So, Jeff, these are my friends. Guys, this is my best friend, Jeff. Went to high school together. So, if you guys want to,
Hey, Jeff, I'm Donald.
There you go. There you go.
Nice to meet you, Jeff. I'm Joe. Joe Biden.
Jeff, what a beautiful name. I'm James.
Hi, I'm Harry. I'm a singer, even though I get a little awkward at times. But yeah, that's basically all you need to know.
New.
Oh, hey. I just wanted to say, firstly, that your smile is quite contagious.
Oh, thank you. Well,
I'm Sydney.
wow, it's so
Or
great.
you can call me Sid.
Sydney! Sydney now gives compliments. I think she likes you, Jeff. Anyways, my name is Michelle. It's nice meeting you, Jeff.
So, Jeff, tell us about yourself and what you like to do for fun.
Am I supposed to answer? I like to go to the.
Jeff?
Sorry.
Hello?
Jeff, she's asking you a question.
Am I supposed to answer?
Oh, you're an English teacher. That's interesting. You know, I used to teach English too. Well, British English.
I tell you, this young man right here is about to make America great again.
Oh, come on, man. That's my job.
Joe,
How
you
long did
were
it take to
elected
make
by
this?
accident. The voting system was rigged. And
Guys, let's not get political. Jeez. Harry, were you gonna say something?
Yes. I think Jeff would be a great fit for our band, One Direction.
I'm glad you said that because I know nothing about One Direction.
Hang on. What did you say, Jeff?
My boy!
Come on, man.
Wow. I don't even like like what do you even say to that? How long did that take to do like all the voice stuff and things? And then how do you like get all that onto like Vocaroo? Can you record and then put a recording onto Vocar? Like I have so many questions. Yeah, I do need to make that all those laughs together. I do need to save that. Yes, fair. He needs like all of the applause. Like turn that up. Like putting in effort. Don't get me wrong. The audio files you guys send me too. They're great. But this is just like, oh my gosh, the effort and the work. Oh my god, what just happened? I'm just in a state of shock. Like what just happened? I am sorry to make anyone have to follow that, but the show must go on. And we're going to take a look at our next file. Let me make a timestamp just so make things a little easier on the replay. This is at 1:23:04. Oh my gosh. Can you guys tell I'm still like speechless? Like what? I'm just in a state of shock. What just happened? What just happened? Fernando, this is your first time. This is your first time hearing him. Oh my gosh. Fernando, what do you think? Ida, what do you think? Is everyone else just like really confused? Oh my gosh, let me guys know. Thoughts on that? Anyways, okay. Let's hear this. Yay! Yes, yay. The only thing to say is yay. Yes, agreed.
So, to get us started, why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself?
Okay, I'll play it one more time.
So, to get us started, why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself?
Okay. I think that was you. Okay. So to get us started, I'm gonna let the phrase oh, in fact, this was the same phrase that Emmanuel did. Oh wow. Okay. Giving us another take on that. So to get us started. Cool. I know. I'm sorry, Fernando. We will do yours after this one. I'm sorry. We're getting close. We're getting so close. I'm sorry. I picked the wrong one. No, Emmanuel, this was not you. Not you. Same words though. But I think it's the same words. Okay.
So, to get us started,
Just adding us an us after get. Um, One quick note. So one big difference between again American English and British English is again the R sounds. So right now I'm not hearing that R on started.
so to get us started,
To get us started versus to get us started, to get us star. So I would do this progression really quick. It's like R star. In fact, maybe I would redo it. I would do R star. That's the progression I would do to emphasize the vowel. R star, R star. And I would try to do that just like I'm doing it, where everything's linked together in one breath. Try not to make it choppy. Don't do like R star. No, it's not that progression. We're trying to do R star, R star, R star. Try to join everything together. That's our goal here. Okay. R star, R star, R star. Really trying to link all those together. And then started. R star started. R star started. That's the progression I would really encourage you to take a look at. Besides that,
so to get us
so I do think you could also get a little bit more air through on that O sound. Oh, so
started, why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself?
yeah, some high placement things.
So, to get us started, why don't you
What don't you?
why don't you
Why don't you? Why don't you? Like, why don't you? Why don't you? I feel like that's the pattern you wanted. Like, why don't you stress on why?
started, why don't you tell
Why don't you? So you do have, so you do go high on why and then down, which is great. Why don't you? Uh, I would have maybe even gone a little higher on why. Like, why don't you? So to get us started, why don't you just go a little higher? Um, Also watch out for that ooh sound on you. So it's not you. It's more you. Why don't you? Why don't you? Ooh, you. It's a little bit more breath through, lower placement. This again, you can try to feel that more in your diaphragm. Try to feel your diaphragm engage. You. Why don't you? Why don't you?
so to get us started, why don't you tell me a little bit about
Tell me a little bit.
so to get us started, why don't you tell me a little bit about
Okay, tell me a little bit. So like everything's kind of first of all pitches. Everything's kind of at the same pitch. Tell me a little bit. Tell me a little bit. Why don't you? Why don't you tell me a little bit? Why don't you tell me a little bit? So you can take everything down a little bit. Why don't you tell me a little bit? Why don't you tell me a little bit? Also watch out for your short I sounds, specifically on little in bit. It's like little bit, little bit. That's probably you want to do it down, right? So more little bit, little bit. Why don't you tell me a little bit? Why don't you tell me a little bit?
why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself?
And then about yourself. So again, you're putting stress on yourself, but again, like we said earlier, you probably want the stress to be on about yourself. About yourself. Why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself? Why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself? Okay, so those are the pitches I would use. Again, it also stress on why, stress on about. Watch out for the short eyes on little and bit. Um, Other things.
To get us started, why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself?
I'd also say little bit, little bit. Can you say little with the tip of your tongue against the bottom of your mouth the entire time? Okay. Marlone just joined us, by the way. What's up, Marlone? Great to see you. Yes, if you send us a file soon, we can have some time to take a look at it. It's great to see you again. Welcome back. But let me make this big again. Oh, we were talking about little. Okay. It's like can you say little 3 times with the tip of your tongue down against the bottom of your mouth? Lil. So again, that's the tip of my tongue is down here the entire time. Lil. Because what you'll see is that my tongue never flaps up. Okay. So I'd practice saying that just to get used to doing like a dark L sound and also a flap T fast D sound. It's like little. Because listen to how you're saying little.
Get started. Why don't you tell me a little bit?
Do a little bit versus little bit, little bit. Because that's just another little thing to practice there. So those would be my big suggestions for that pronunciation file. Hopefully those things make sense. If anything there is not clear, be sure to let me know. But thank you for sending that file. Hope to hear from you more in future streams. Always get excited to hear new voices. Always get excited. Always, always, always. Okay. Dum, 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 dum. I'm just going to switch this order to see things. Oh my gosh, look at that. Look at that. Dum, 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 dum. Marlon is sending us a file. I see him in there. How about, oh, let's timestamps. Timestamps. We are now at 1:30. And let's see our next file here.
A bird in the hand is what chew in the bush.
Okay. Bush. Bush. Be careful. Giving us the idiom. Hands for two in the bush. Let's hear that again. And again, this is another very common expression. You could put this into youglish.com and kind of just listen to how native speakers are saying it too.
A bird in the hand.
Okay. Your placement, first of all, is going to be really, really high. You're up around here. Like a bird in the hand. A bird. Let me hear bird.
A bird.
A bird. A bird. A bird.
A bird.
A bird. A bird. A bird. Hear that difference? Bird. 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 It's just trying to project that lower. You can try again. Just take it down 5 times. Like bird, 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 bird. Bird, 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 bird. Just try to send that down. Also, like we did earlier, if you try to feel your diaphragm, like take a big breath in, put your hand on your stomach, and as you say bird, try to feel your stomach contracting and moving in your diaphragm. So again, bird. Again, bird. So it's not bird, because right now you're also, the other thing that's happening too is you're really doing a lot of projection from your lung. You're up around here, and you want to be projecting from lower. You want to get your diaphragm more involved. It's just a note about that. Okay.
A bird in the hand.
You're also very tense there on hand. You can hear hand. That's actually something we talked about, Emmanuel. No, we talked about recently in Mission English, which again is our group where we meet Monday through Friday. We do a live stream that you can join if you go to fluentamerican.com/Mission English. But we just did a whole lesson on the and sound. You're very tense on that hand.
Bird in the hand.
Hand versus hand. Look, I know that and sound. There's a nasal. It has that N. And you want to do that heavy breath out of your nose right before that N. Emmanuel notes that. Yep, we just talked about it. It's a favorite sound. Such a fun sound. In my opinion, this is probably the hardest sound in English. In my opinion. But again, it's gonna sound like and. So again, you're gonna do a heavy breath out of your nose right before the N. And you're also going to feel your tongue kind of slide backwards a little bit more. It's not a normal it's a little bit more a little bit. So your tongue's a little farther back. Okay. But heavy breath out of your nose right before it. But just because the air is going through your nose doesn't mean that the placement's here. So it's not hand, still placement's still low. And you still want a lot of air to move through your throat. Hand. So I would do this progression. And hand. And hand. Then do that 3 times, linking all together. And hand. Then do that linking pattern 3 times. And hand. And hand. And just kind of practicing that. It's a tricky sound. We're gonna have an episode. We're gonna have a as part of Novenglish, our 30-day challenge. One video is going to talk about the A sound plus the N. So keep an eye out. We also have other videos that talk about it too. But that's going to be very helpful.
A bird in the hand is what chew in the bush.
Is worth. I like you dropped in pitch there. I like how you lowered that. That's great. Could add some contrast.
Bird in the hand is what chew in the bush.
A bird in the hand. So speaking of stresses really quick. So you're stressing both bird and hand. A bird in the hand. Can we just stress one? Bird in the hand. Or you could stress bird. A bird in the hand. I probably wouldn't stress both though. A bird in the hand, that's a little bit too much. A bird in the hand. It's worth 2 in the bush.
Hands is worth 2 in the bush.
Want to hear worth again?
Hands is worth
Worth, 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 worth. Can you hear the difference between worth and worth? Again, lower placement on your R sound. Can you do like where, worth, where, worth, where, worth, where, worth? So I'll try a little bit for that R sound of worth.
is worth 2 in the bush.
It's worth 2 in the bush. Burn the hands worth 2 in the bush. 2's probably not going to get stressed. I like that you have, for the second half, you're really only stressing 2. You're not really putting a lot of stress on bush, which I like that you're only using 1 stress. It's just we had a 50-50 shot, and unfortunately, we chose the wrong one. We missed the game winner. I'm sorry. I would have stressed bush instead. It's worth 2 in the bush. Burn the hand is worth 2 in the bush.
Hands is worth 2 in the bush.
So it says worth 2 in the bush. More is worth 2 in the bush. Also, watch out for that sound on bush. This is the sound, which is also like good, or like foot, or wood, bush, This is with the back of your tongue high, front of your tongue down. You can open your mouth a little wider, because right now your mouth's a little closed. Bush, bush. Can you do like ush, bush, ush, bush, ush, bush? As you're doing that, you want to be careful with the letter B, because my guess is the B sound is having an impact on your vowel, and you want to make sure that's not happening. Bush, bush. Because just be careful with that. Burn the hands, we're 2 in the bush. But those would be my big suggestions there. If you have any questions for me about that, just let me know. But thank you for sending your file. I'm excited to begin really working with you a lot more in the future. This is exciting times for everyone. For everyone. And oh my gosh, Marlon has sent us his dissertation. Okay, so let's see what Marlon wants to take a look at. Look at this. Okay. I am also, I think that kind of wraps up all of our pronunciation files too. So at this time, I'm going to close us off for sending in files. And then again, in case you join us for the first time, welcome. This is the Schwa Mill. Basically, it is a show that we have every single Saturday at this time, starting at 1:30 p.m. New York time, where we take a look at your pronunciation and give suggestions for basically just trying to achieve a more natural sound American English. If your goal is just like clarity and things like that, that's not really what we're about. Our goal is like, we're trying to wonder like, hey, why don't I sound like a native speaker? Well, I'm going to tell you the things that are going to sound different than what a native speaker would probably do in these situations as best I can. Again, we don't have any context to things, but we do this again every Saturday. You can send us your pronunciation files and we take a look at them and give suggestions. Our last file for today is Marlon. Okay. And Fernando says, amazing, great tips. Re-record the audio. For sure. I definitely recommend that. It's always good to practice and make changes and things like that, especially for yourself. You know, you want to hear what you're doing. So always record yourself. It's your most powerful tool. All right. And here's our last file for today. Exciting. Hang on. I highlighted the wrong thing. Wanted the text.
A module is a piece of program that specifies what other pieces it relies on and which functionality it provides for other modules to use.
A little bit. There is some variation in pitch. I'm not going to deny that, but I would like more because things are kind of blending together a little bit.
A module is a
module. So first of all, dark L. Okay, so right now your L sound, it sounds to me like your tongue's high. Module. In addition to that, your placement's also a little high. So I would like more air to come through, a little more breath and a lower placement, and a dark L sound. So I would use tip of your tongue down, bottom of your mouth. Jaw. A module. Okay, and then rising intonation there at the end slightly. Module.
A module is a piece of.
Watch out for that short on is. So it's not ease. A module is. A module is. A module is.
A module is a piece of program that.
Program. Again, we have, just like we talked about a moment ago, for the a sound plus a nasal, we see this on program. So it's not gram, it's more gram. Am. It's like I would practice that. Am, ram, gram. I mean, am, gram, program. Am, gram, program. Okay. Now it is the reduced part. Okay, so you don't have to make it extra strong. The real emphasis is going to be on program. Thanks to Marlon for the the super chat. I do appreciate that. Of course, I'll give you the best feedback that I can. Not that like I don't do that for everyone else. Like I don't just give you the best feedback just because you sent the super chat. Sorry guys, the feedback I usually give you is just okay feedback. But if you send a super chat, it's really good feedback. No, I do my best all the time. But
A module is a piece of program that's
it's a piece of program. A module is a piece of program. So that's also in terms of like pitches and things like that. That's probably how I would have read that. Like a module is a piece of program. A module is a piece of program. Notice also the contraction you could have done there too. A modules. So instead of saying module is, I would have contracted that.
A module is a piece of program that specifies
Specifies.
that specifies
I like your short I sounds. Nice. Like that a lot. Tends to be a tricky word. Like a lot of times people do like specifies versus specifies. Good.
program that specifies with other pieces.
We hear that. Which other pieces?
Program that specifies with other pieces.
Where's the CH? Where's the ch sound? Marlone.
Program that specifies.
Is it Marlone or Marlone? Or just I don't know. Anyways.
Program that specifies with other pieces.
Which other pieces?
Is a piece of program that specifies with other pieces.
With other pieces, like it almost sounds like a fast D sound or like a T, like with other pieces versus which other. Okay, so watch out for that that CH there. Which other pieces?
With other pieces, it relies on.
Which other pieces? A little choppy here because your thought group's a little too short. So I'd expand your thought group. A module is a program that specifies which other pieces.
A module is a piece of program that specifies with other pieces.
Yeah, so you're kind of giving me like 4 thought groups here when it could have just been like 2. Like a module is a piece of program that specifies which other pieces, something like that. There's other variations too. That's just one.
It relies on.
It relies on. Don't stress on, stress relies. It relies on. Like a module is a piece of program that specifies which other pieces it relies on. It's just a note there.
With other pieces, it relies on.
I would also say
with other pieces, it relies on.
It relies on. Take a look on. I just did a video on. I think it's actually the last video, the video from today. We took a look at what's called our stop consonants. Specifically held T's, but there's other letters that do this too. Take a look at that because instead of saying that it relies, that where you hear that T sound, that's probably going to be held because that T is followed by another consonant. So instead it relies more. It relies. You don't really hear that T sound. That's just a note.
It relies on and which functionality it provides for other modules to use. With other pieces, it relies on and which functionality it provides.
Functionality. For functionality, you really want that al sound to be your stress, so make that really heavy and weaken everything else. Which functionality? Which functionality? Function. So notice that functionality. Yeah, and as Emmanuel notes, yes, for the held T sound, it's a video from literally 7 or whatever hours ago. Yep. Functionality
relies on and which functionality it provides for other modules to use.
I want to hear other again.
Relies on and which functionality it provides.
Functionality, also that itty. ITY is such a common combination in English, so I would really study that. It's like it's going to sound like itty, short I followed by an E sound, and a fast D in the middle. Itty. It's like activity, functionality, proportionality, like reality. Just some other examples. That itty sound is super common in American English. I think it's worth reviewing.
Provides for other modules to use. It provides for other
your schwa sound is another sound that might be good studying because right now you're a little high. Emmanuel also notes quality as another word with the ity sound. Thank you, Emmanuel. For other, your schwa sound is not getting enough breath through, so it's just if you're practicing your schwa sound, just some real quick tips. Again, make sure your face is just in a neutral position. Front of your tongue is a little down. Your teeth are not touching. The middle of your tongue is going to float up a little bit, but not touch the top of your mouth. Open your mouth slightly and try to project low. It's the same sound that people make when they're thinking in American English, like that sound. It's like other. other. I would practice that a little bit. So it's not other,
Which functionality it provides for other
other versus other.
modules to use.
Use is probably not going to get stressed. I'll be honest. For other modules to use, other's probably going to get your stress, not use. So instead of other modules to use, it's probably going to be other modules to use. Because just no stress. Okay, so this is a really long sentence. And you again had a lot of stresses there. So I'm just going to show you an alternative that I think would sound a little bit more natural with fewer thought groups. A module is a piece of program that specifies which other pieces it relies on. So a module, I stress module. Which, I would stress that first which. And which functionality it provides. I would stress functionality and other. Module, which, functionality, other. A module is a piece of program that specifies which other pieces it relies on. No, let me take that back. Stress relies, not which. Sorry. A module is a piece of program that specifies which other pieces it relies on and which functionality it provides for other modules to use. A module is a piece of program that specifies which other pieces it relies on and which functionality it provides for other modules to use. That's how I would have said that. Compare that to the original.
A module is a piece of program that specifies which other pieces it relies on and which functionality it provides for other modules to use.
Okay, so I think you can hear some pretty big difference there in terms of rhythm, stress patterns, and things. Okay. All right. I think that wraps us up. Let's take another. Actually, no, I said it's closed. I said we're closed. It's no more pronunciation files and things like that. All right, guys, you have done it once more. You spent another Saturday with me here down in the Schwa Mill. As always, unfortunately, I can't see the pictures and things like that. But of course, thank you so much for the super chat. Thanks for sending your pronunciation files. I can't do this without you. But thanks to everyone watching, whether you send us pronunciation files or not, just the fact that you spent some time with us here on a Saturday learning American English, like, my God, what is happening? Or maybe you're watching it in the replay. Thanks for watching the replay. We do this again every single Saturday. We're here at the Schwa Mill, crafting your accents in American English. Look, I'll be honest. There's a million resources out there for English, for American English. So the fact that you took time out of your weekend to study here with me, I immensely value. I certainly do not take that for granted. Thank you so much for spending time with me. If you have enjoyed this or learned something, I really encourage you. Something that would be helpful for me is if you could like the stream, or if you know other people that are interested in learning American English that you think would want to send in their pronunciation files, then share this with them. We're always trying to find new people to send us some files and things like that. The more, the merrier. We grow together. Fernando, thank you for joining us. I'm excited to see you in the Telegram group, one of our newest members. It's exciting. Again, if you'd like to work with me every single day of the week, Monday through Friday, 30-minute live streams. It's basically for $30, you get 18 classes at least per month. Honestly, it's more than that, but it's a minimum of 18 classes. So again, 18 pronunciation classes for $30. You're not going to find a better value, or if you do, let me know. But again, you can find that and more at fluentamerican.com/Mission English. Thank you guys so much. Keep an eye out again for Novenglish. Happy Novenglish, everyone. It's our 30-day challenge. Tomorrow, a new video will be coming out, which I'm excited about. And I will see you guys next live stream as well. You guys take care. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Have a good day. Have a good night, a good afternoon. And I will see you all later. Take care.